Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a document that most people, just run away from, the corporate annual report. But what if I told you that you could pull out all the important stuff, not in hours, but in like 5 minutes? Let's start the clock. I mean, have you ever actually opened one of these? You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just this dense forest of numbers, legalese, and jargon. It honestly feels like it's designed to be confusing. But trust me, it really doesn't have to be.
Because underneath all that complexity, there's a surprisingly simple story. It's just the company trying to tell you who they are, how their year went, who's in charge, and what they really care about. So we're going to hand you the secret decoder ring to read that story and do it fast.
Here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start by decoding the report itself. Then we'll look at the business behind the brands. We'll follow the money, figure out who runs the show, ask if there's more to it than just profit, and finally we'll put that whole story together. Okay, so here's the big secret. Every single annual report, I don't care how thick it is really just telling 4 key stories. And once you know what to look for, you can cut straight to the heart of any company. Let's jump into that first story.
So, story number 1 answers the most basic question of all. What does this company actually do? And to make this super clear, we're going to use a real-world example. The annual report from an Indonesian company called PT Surya Petui, or SPTO. Let's get to know them. So you can see SPTO's been around for a while, since 1978. But look at 2018. Whoa, that was a huge year. They went public with an IPO, that's when they started selling shares to everybody, and they launched a whole new manufacturing company. Right away, that tells you this is a company with deep roots, but they're making some really aggressive moves to grow, like right now.
Now, you've probably never heard the name SPTO, but I bet you've heard of Toto toilets, right? Or jacuzzi? Well, SPTO is the company that brings these massive, well-known brands to the Indonesian market. This is a perfect example of how a company name you don't recognize can be behind products you see and use every day.
So, who actually owns this company? A quick look at their 2023 report shows it's a mix. 40% is owned by the public. That's you, me, anyone who buys shares on the stock market. And the rest is held by 2 big firms. This tells you immediately it's not just a small family business. It has to answer to a whole lot of different investors.
Okay, so we know what they do. Story number 2 is all about the money. How did they do? Now, this is where a lot of people's eyes start to glaze over, but we're just looking for a simple plot. Was it a good year, a bad year? Let's follow the money. And you know what? The company tells you the story themselves. Right there in their 2020 report, they say it flat out. It was one of the toughest years they had ever experienced, all because of the pandemic. That's a pretty dramatic statement. So, let's see if the numbers agree. And there it is. The proof is right in the numbers. You can see that crystal clear drop in their net revenue from over 2.2 trillion rupiah in 2019 down to 1.9 trillion in 2020. This one single chart tells that whole toughest year story in an instant. But that's not where it ends. Now check out the rebound. Just look at that growth. By 2022, they hadn't just recovered, they blew past their pre-pandemic numbers. And they kept climbing in 2023. This isn't just a boring financial chart. This is a powerful story of resilience. A comeback like that doesn't just happen by magic. It takes real leadership. And that brings us to our third story. Who is actually running the show here, and what are the rules they have to play by? This is all about what we call corporate governance. So you're going to see this term good corporate governance, or GCG, thrown around a lot. Don't let the jargon scare you. Think of it as the company's official rulebook. It's basically their public promise to run the business ethically and transparently, protecting everyone involved, from investors to customers. And the annual report is where they have to prove they're doing it. In a lot of companies, including SPTO, there's a cool 2-part system. You've got the board of directors, think of them as the players on the field, running the company's day-to-day operations. Then you have the board of commissioners. They're kind of like the referees, supervising the directors to make sure they're playing by the rules on behalf of the shareholders. It's a system of checks and balances. So we've got the business, we've got the money, and we know the power structure. That brings us to our fourth and final story. which answers a really critical question these days. Does this company care about anything more than just making a profit? This is where we look for the company's conscience. And you usually find it in a section on corporate social responsibility, or CSR.
So in its report, SPTO lays out these really nice-sounding CSR goals: harmony, community development, quality of life, and these are great aspirations. But let's be real, are these just buzzwords on a page? The trick is to hunt for actual concrete proof.
And so you keep digging in the report, and then, boom, you find this. Their own headquarters got a Platinum Green Building certification. This is exactly what you want to find. A specific, verifiable action that turns a vague goal like environmental responsibility into something real.
So there you have it. We found the 4 key pieces of the puzzle. And when you put them all together, you get this clear, surprisingly deep picture of the entire company. And it only took a few minutes. And this right here is the exact framework you can use for any company you want to investigate. The business, who are they? The money, how'd they do? The power, who's in charge? And the conscience, what do they stand for? That's it. That is the entire secret to reading an annual report. So the next time one of those giant annual reports shows up, don't see a 200-page monster. See it for what it is: a confession, a resume, and a vision for the future, all rolled into one. You've got the keys now. The only question is, what company's story are you going to uncover first?